Transition Awareness Breathing. Feeling grounded for both children and parents is essential for healthy living and learning. Join Eartha Powell on this series for tips and tools for creating a harmonious environment for learning. Transition Awareness Breathing will help you and your child find an individualized path to tackle change, promote lifelong learning, and discover new approaches to calmness.
The pandemic has caused mega changes in how we live today. Around this time last year, I do not think anyone thought we would be in a situation where toilet paper, hand sanitizers, and wipes would be a valuable commodity. Do you remember the long lines to get into stores? How did it feel when you read stories about toilet paper being hoarded or toilet paper being stolen from people's homes? Better yet, the new big joke was the COVID birthday gifts, something useful and valuable. Here, look what I got you for your birthday present. A roll of toilet paper. Who would have thought? The death toll grew. Our emotions and spirits sank into despair. Everyone's motivation to transition to a different lifestyle was different. I'm using past tense because through the despair, through the emotions, we must keep going. The future depends on us. A seed is planted in the ground. It's just a seed. But is it just a seed? That seed is the future of plants, of flowers, of all kinds of vegetation that will feed animals, that will be pollinated by bumblebees and butterflies. From that seed will come new life. That seed is planted in the ground. The seed is a beautiful seed. It's a perfect seed. It's the perfect shape. It's smooth. It's beautiful. You've never seen such a seed before. Do you hold the seed in your hand? The seed is made to be put in the ground. You put it in the ground. You make sure that the soil that you put that seed into is rich and nutritious, that it's soft and moist. And out of all the care that you have given this seed, do you know what happens to it? The seed rots. The outside decays, but new life begins to spring forward. A seedling, a little bitty seedling, is sprouting up from that seed, and it pokes its head or leaves above the ground, is taking in the sun. It begins to grow. But before it could get to that stage, the shell of that seed had to rot. It had to decay. And so we mourn and we grieve for the shell of that seed, the decay and the the change. And then there's a time that we concentrate our thoughts on the new growth. What is going new? New ideas, new motivations, new meaning for life. Because the shell's purpose did what it was supposed to do. It was a casing so that the new life can come forward. And so we too have casings, and it is so appropriate to grieve. It is so appropriate to mourn the old casing that we are letting go of. And as we move forward, we keep the memories and we use our experience to build on for the new growth. I invite you to meditate on this thought, that our society as we knew it is in the process of changing. Change is inevitable. Time moves forward. You can stop a clock, but does that stop time? Think about it. The change is moving. We have a choice on what we can do during that change. Last week, in the last episode, I told you a story about the old man and the donkey. You thought I forgot? I did not forget. That donkey got out of the pit. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look at or listen to last week's episode. The donkey escaped from the pit. His leg was injured. He found it within himself to tap in to that spark of, I will not give up. I will not stay here. He took his stubbornness and his determination to move him forward. And yet, the farmer who had already given up on the donkey, he had tossed his chips in. This is the way it's going to be. I have to get a new donkey. I have to get some automated farm equipment. He was going through these changes, and we talked about the different stages of grief. And it's all normal. That grief, the patterns of grief, the 5 stages of grief, helps us propel ourselves through the change. We're letting go to what was, and we're getting ready to say hello to what will be. I don't mean to sound all philosophical and everything, but if we kind of take a step, and this is great when we talk about mindfulness and awareness, is to step back, take a breath, and look at what's going around us. We may not be able to have any control over a lot of things that's going on around us in our environment. But there is a choice on how we respond to it. The old man had a choice of how he responded to his faithful donkey. When that donkey came out of that pit, the old man also had a choice of how to respond. And I left you there with that story at end. I don't know what ending that you put to the end of the story. I'm going to tell you the ending that I put to the end of the story. Like I said, this is a story you may have heard before, but I'm putting transition awareness breathing into the story, and this is how the story is beginning again instead of ending. It's a new beginning, and you'll see. Because when the donkey got out of the pit, he realized that his life was valuable. The air smelt sweeter. The grass looked greener. He was very thankful and appreciative. He looked at the old farmer, and he didn't see old farmer. He saw his old friend. And the old man looked at his donkey, and he was shocked. He was so happy that the donkey was able to crawl out of that pit, because he knew, the old man knew, that he did not have the strength or the resources to pull his donkey out of the pit, but the donkey and the old man were a team. The donkey was the stubbornness, and the old man was the guide. The old man wrapped his hands around that donkey's face, and he stroked that donkey's eyes and his ears, and the donkey looked at that old man with his big brown eyes, and that old man decided, it's time for a change. We can't go through this again. So, what happened? The old man did wind up getting some modern farm equipment. He called all the farming companies, did all the research. He got the right equipment that he needed. What happened to the donkey? Well, there was a patch in his field that was always overgrown, and he was always so busy that he could never do anything with it. So he made the donkey a special area where this donkey could retire and just graze in the grass. And the donkey's leg healed. Come to find out, when the old man called the vet, the donkey had a abrasion, a laceration on his leg. Nothing was broke, but it would need to mend. And so the donkey grazed, and he enjoyed the grass. He looked at the butterflies. And when the old man looked at that donkey, he realized that he was getting more work done now than ever before. He had changed. But the process of going through that change was a bit painful. And the donkey was enjoying his new purpose. So when we go through these different changes, what happens is we allow our brains to develop new neural cells, and we go through this process of neuroplasticity where new brain cells are extending and they're maturing. You know, it's not like the olden days where we thought, you know, once a child is past a certain age that there's no development and the brain, you know, doesn't grow. No, new scientific information is out where when we do things different, it causes our brain cells to grow. Now, talking about doing something different, I bet you thought that I forgot to say something like, welcome to Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. This is Eartha. I am so glad that you joined me today. Thank you for coming back, and thank you for Web Talk Radio giving me a platform to bring Transition Awareness Breathing podcast to you. Thank you to my producers, Mary Lou and Sam, for making Transition Awareness Breathing podcast available to you wherever you are at. Yes, I did things a little different. I wanted to demonstrate how doing things a little different keeps our mind a little bit fresh. You know, we're anticipating the same intro. We're anticipating going down the same street. Then we start saying, oh, she forgot. She's not going to say it. But then at the end, it was part of the exercise. So when we're learning things new, it means we're doing things different. And this pandemic has really caused us to do many things different. There is a side that is bright because we are all learning new skills. We're doing things we may not have ever done before. Those are opening up new channels and helping our brain cells to grow like they've never done before. I didn't say it was going to be easy. But isn't it wonderful that we are still growing? Don't despair. Go and enjoy the new things that you're learning. And I'll see you next time. Thank you again for joining me in Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. Have a great day.
Be sure and pick up a copy of Eartha's new book, Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's not just an ordinary coloring book. It features 23 illustrations to stimulate thought, relaxation, and creativity for anyone between the ages of 4 and 94. Increase your positive self-talk energy. Unlock new creative paths. Transform your time once or twice a week to create beautiful art while strengthening confidence, building positive self-talk, and sensitize self-awareness. Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's available now at Amazon.com.